This is the law. Let us not go down on all fours. Let us not suck up drink. Let us not eat fish or flesh. Let us not claw the bark off of trees. And do not chase after man. This is the law. Are we not men? Hi, I'm Dave Watkins. Today we're going to take a look at the new Scream Factory release of The Island of Dr. Moreau, starring Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer. Also with David Thewlis, who plays the main character, and Fairuza Balk, who looks amazing in this with her. I've always appreciated her eyes. They're there. They look great. This is based on the 1896 novel written by H.G. Wells about a shipwrecked man who ends up on this island run by a mad scientist, Dr. Moreau, who does experiments on human animal hybrids. And so this kind of leads to some horrific type of situations. Now, I saw this in the movie theater when it first came out, and I really enjoyed it at the time. I did think maybe it was lacking in some areas. Something seemed a little off. Marlon Brando's performance and Val Kilmer's performance, to me, those were both a lot of fun. And the special effects done by Stan Winston on these animal-human hybrid creatures were amazing. And they get a lot of screen time here. Now, the critics completely annihilated this thing. They hated it. And there's a lot of hate for it around. I think a lot of people did really dislike this movie, but I've always enjoyed it. Now, this new Scream Factory release, now let's take a look at the technical specs. It says a new 2K scan of the inner positive for the director's cut. It's got the director's cut on here, and also the theatrical version, which is only 4 minutes shorter. So I'm not sure what's different. But the director's cut, it plays fine. But this has a 2K scan on it. It's just something to think about. It's not 4K. It still makes it high definition. And the question is, why is there only a 2K scan? Maybe they weren't able to get a 4K scan, which may be a good thing, because there may not be an upgrade of this in the near future, which is a trend that Scream Factory tends to do. Like, you'll buy this Blu-ray and you're like, man, I love this cover art on this thing, and then next thing you know, pow, we're going to release a 4K version of that movie. And sometimes you feel compelled to upgrade, especially when the 4K goes on sale and you're like, oh, I already got it, but I guess I'm going to get the 4K. Same thing happens with almost all their movies. But Brotherhood of the Wolf, which, look at that amazing artwork. And that's one thing. And the theatrical artwork, I actually liked it too. These are both nice. But one thing the Blu-rays do have going for them is the original artwork. So maybe it will lead to something more valuable in the future. I don't know. But it's recently they did release Cursed. This one does have a 4K scan of the original camera negative. So, I don't know. We might be seeing a 4K release of this just pop out at any minute, which would be kind of annoying, because the Blu-ray is pretty new. But I don't know if they'll do it or not. I mean, maybe they won't, because it hasn't sold that well. Here, with a 2K scan of this movie, there may not ever be a 4K release of it. As far as the quality of this, I did compare it. I do have another Blu-ray version of this movie. This one doesn't have the 2K scan. And so I compared both of them. And there is a big difference in the quality. I wasn't expecting there to be. One of the biggest differences I noticed in this one, when there's camera movement, it seems a little jittery. Like there's some jittery shit going on. And when you look at this one, it looks a little smoother, and just the picture is crisper, and it's a crisper picture, and it is sharper. And there does seem to be in some areas, with looking at this compared to this, like there seems to be problems with the actual picture. Is like if you were to look at some of the closer shots, it's just not as much detail. There's a lot more detail in this one. If this was upgraded to 4K, there would be even more detail and it would look even more sharp. But this is a good in between. I think it looks really terrific. It retains retains all the colors and stuff from this one, but it looks, you can see more detail and it looks better. Now, I've seen some criticism about the performances of Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer in this movie. Some people say that they are over the top, but I don't know. Considering the situation that these characters are in, I find it is kind of appropriate the way that they're acting. Now, Marlon Brando's character is a mad scientist who thinks that he's mad, but he doesn't know that he is. He's been on this island with he's creating these monsters. He's been doing it for 17 years. Val Kilmer's character has been there for 10, helping him. And so they've both been in this secluded, mad island, just full of trying to control these beast monsters and trying to keep them in place and not let them get out of control. They've been trying to maintain control, and both of them have, over that period of time, they've been slipping. So neither one of them are completely sane. And it's not like you see over the top. It's not like they're going like they're shouting their lines or something crazy like that. I think their performances, there are some very subtle nuances to both of their performances, especially in the way that they deliver the dialogue. So, I mean, they may not be the most likable characters, but I find what they did here to be very interesting. Richard Stanley was originally supposed to direct this movie, and there is an excellent, now I can't even do it justice by going over what happened, but there is an amazing documentary out there called Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. But I highly recommend watching that. And I think after watching that, you'll have a better appreciation for the movie, or at least you will want to watch the movie again. He does show some of his storyboards in the documentary, and you see the kind of vision that he had for the movie. And it would have been a different type of movie. It would have looked more indie, I think. It would have been more type of cool shots. Not that there aren't cool shots in the movie. There are some pretty neat ones here and there, but there would have probably been more violence, or more gruesomeness, perhaps. Would have been a different type of movie altogether. Now, John Frankenheimer is the one who ultimately directed this movie. I think Richard Stanley was out there for a few days. I don't know if any of his footage was ever used in the movie, but John Frankenheimer shows a lot of restraint in the movie for some parts that could have gone more gruesome. And just the script was credited to Richard Stanley, and there's another writer that John Frankenheimer brought in to rewrite the script, Ron Hutchinson. But I don't know, which is messed up in a way, but I think they are rewriting the script as they went on the movie. Again, I think this is better told in that documentary. I highly recommend going to watch it. We don't know what Richard Stanley's version would have looked like, if it would have been better, if it would have been worse. But I do like what we got here. I think it's better than what a lot of people think it is, to me anyway. This is probably the best version of this movie. There's two other ones. One with Burt Lancaster from the 70s, which was pretty good. And there's one from 1932 with Charles Laughton, which now I do like that time period of monster movies. There's just something about that black and white period, even though the special effects weren't completely there. It does have a nice feel to it. And that movie, the 1932 one, which is called Island of Lost Souls, that movie was made because of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde doing a good, making a lot of money, the year before. So the studio was like, okay, we need to shoot another horror movie and keep this thing rolling. And I think that they may have had a similar idea, the studio, with this funding at the island of Dr. Moreau, because just before that, in 1992, Bram Stoker's Dracula arrived with an amazing cast. They had Gary Oldman, Anthony Hopkins, Winona Ryder, and everyone's favorite performance by Keanu Reeves. And I actually like his performance in this, but a lot of people just they can't handle the way his accent is. He's trying to do an English accent, and it's not quite there. But I've always enjoyed it. I don't give a shit what people think. But also in 1994 came out Mary Shelley's Frankenstein by Kenneth Branagh, which stars Robert De Niro as the monster. And here you know Robert De Niro, and you have a similar actor in Marlon Brando. So basically they're like, okay, we got Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer in our movie. This thing is going to be the next Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know, maybe that was what they were thinking, and when it didn't happen that way, they were very disappointed. And I guess it was a bomb, and it was a critical bomb. But it's quite possible that it was a bomb because the critics were talking trash about it, and so people were like, okay, these critics are like saying this thing's the worst thing ever, so I don't know. But again, it is a disturbing story, and it was probably never going to be a critical darling. So I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Dave Watkins. If you want to take a look on my page and hit that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it.